All right, what's going on? You listen to King Campbell Jubei podcast and Jubei means message. And we're going to talk about the Scorpion King and Nubian origins of Egypt's first pharaoh. Yeah, this is not a drill. This is a bonus episode. You know what I'm saying? Yes, this is a bonus episode on a Friday. You understand? Yeah, get you something to write on, something to write with. We're going to talk about the Scorpion King. Yeah, I know this the name takes me back to that movie back in the day in the late 90s, early 2000s with The Rock. They called him the Scorpion King, but at the same time they called the dude an Akkadian. No, bro, no. The Scorpion King came from Nubia. So we're gonna get into that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, welcome back to King Campbell Jubei podcast, where we're gonna decode the wisdom of Africa's forgotten civilizations and bring forth the messages of our ancestors, the messages our ancestors left for us. And so, but before we get started and go further, have you seen that movie? Have you heard of that movie, Scorpion King? Back in the day, it was pretty good. It came out for the mummy and everything, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the fam. Hit the like button as you come in. What's going on, Sister Macy? What's going on? So, Auntie Linda, what's going on? I hope all is well with you. Greet everybody as you come in. Shout out to Sister Macy and Sister Linda. Yeah, yeah, you saw it. Yeah. You saw it. Yeah, it was good. You know what I'm saying? Especially, I'm gonna say this. I was like 19, 20 years old and going to the movie, and you seen this whole graphics, the whole CGI setup. It was great, But we're gonna deal with the real today. All right, what's going on, Miss Blue? Miss Blue, she says, greetings, everyone. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Scorpion King Nubian origins of Egypt's first pharaoh. I got my notes. Yeah, this is the bonus. This is the bonus episode. Shout out to the Ujumbe members who shared and made this thing possible. What's going on, Love Child? The producer, she got them beats. She is greeting everybody. She says hello. Yeah, Love Child got them beats. I'm telling you, if you ever want to hear some beats, check her out. She's great. And so so let me ask you something. When you hear, this is how Hollywood set it up. When you hear Scorpion King, what comes to mind first? Be honest. Yeah, see, for most people, it's the Hollywood movie. Okay, the action, the fantasy, the swords and the sand and everything. But what if I tell you? There is a real Scorpion King? And it's not some fantasy, not some kind of hero, but a real Nubian ruler whose reign laid the very foundation of Kemet. Yeah, we're talking about ancient Egypt itself, right? So today we're gonna get really legendary today. We're going to uncover the Nubian roots of kingship and see or their legacy that they started. And so we're going to talk about the mystery of the Scorpion King or kings. In my little reading, there might be two of them. And we're going to discuss how their legacy connects to Narmer, because I thought Narmer was the Scorpion King. I thought so. And so Narmer, he was noted as the first pharaoh of Kemet who united the two lands. He was a Nebatawi. And more importantly, we're going to ask the question, was Egypt's first pharaoh really Nubian? Okay. Was he really Nubian? So let's sit back and relax, get comfortable, get you something to write on, something to write with, get you a little something to drink, a little something to eat or whatever, because we're going to go into more than history. This is more than that. This is a story of origins. This is an origin story. You see what I'm saying? This is sacred memory, and we're going to discuss the African roots of the civilization that the world too often tries to erase. Yeah, and so here it is. This is the Echoes of Nubia segment. Where we discuss Nubia really heavily. I feel that sometimes Kush and Nubia doesn't get their shine. So this is where we do it. And so these are our pillars. Pillar 1, Ethiopia, the source and the sanctuary. Pillar 2, Kemet, the blueprint of sacred civilization. Pillar 3, Kush and Nubia, the corridor continuity. That's where we are. We're dealing with Sudan. We're dealing with ancient Sudan. And so, and pillar 4, the hidden code, spiritual science, symbols, and the esoteric legacy of Africa. And I think I got a little bit of Kemetic science. I think I got a little, I got a little esoteric information in here. So get ready. So here are some of the questions. All right. So, what evidence links the Nubian Scorpion Kings to the unification of Kemet under Narmer, and how does this reshape our understanding of ancient Egypt's origins? And how do the 7 scorpions of Aset? Yeah. Here's the thing. When I was doing my research, when I was doing my homework, we got the 7 Heteru. We kind of discussed that a little bit. But I didn't know that there was 7 scorpions. Yeah. We're going to get into the cosmic order, Ma'at, and divine authority, those 7 scorpions, and how does this relate to kingship in early African civilizations? In what ways does the Narmer Palette reflect both mythic and political authority, and how are its symbols rooted in southern Nubian Kushite tradition? And last question, how does the integration of myth, sacred texts, and archaeology help us as a people reconstruct this spiritual and political legacy of Kush and Nubia as foundation to Kemet? All right, let's get it. So today, we're going to talk about Nubia before Kemet. Who was the Scorpion King? Nubian foundations of Egyptian kingship. Some people may disagree, but there are some scholars and authors that would tell you straight up and down that Nubia was the mother of Kemet, and it was not Dr. John Henry Clark, and it was not Dr. Ben. I'm just saying. And so Scorpion Kings and Southern origins, the 7 scorpions. Yes, we have a story time. Yeah. We got a story time, and I'm excited about this story time, man. So symbolism of the scorpion, historical symbolism of the scorpion, and the Narmer Palette. And I think I got something else to say too. All right, now, so get this. Oh, hold on, the fam is talking. Yeah, what's going on globally black? What's going on, fam? Good evening, everybody. What about the incense burner? Hold on. Yeah. See, Macy, you about to jump the gun. I got something for you. Just hold that thought. Just hold on. I got it. See, I came ready today. Yes, indeed. So we gotta start this out. Okay, long before the pyramids rose in the sands of Giza, before dynasties carved their names into stone, there was Tasseti. Okay, the land of the bow, Tasseti. Now we understand that Kemet is called Tameri or Tamaru, all right? Or just like in Hatshepsut, when she went to the land of Punta, Somalia, she called it Taneter, right? But Nubia, ancient Sudan was Tasseti. But this is what I learned. That these were multiple different groups and multiple different tribes, and each one of them had a ruler. So we have the land of Yam over here. We may get into that. We have the Magi over here. We talked about that, and some other groups. But who was the catalyst to unite Nubia, though? Okay, well, shout out to Brother Isu, One Voice Africa. Shout out to the fam. What's going on? Yeah, you came just in time. You're not late. All right, let's get it. And so, archaeologists, get this. Archaeologists have uncovered something powerful in Qustul, Qustul, near the first cataract of the Nile. They found incense burners. I told you I was going to come back and get it. Richly decorated with symbols of kingship, crowns. They had falcons. They had processions that dated before Egypt's First Dynasty. They had the white crown, right? The falcon of the god Haru. The idea, get this, the idea of divine rulership, divine kingship all appeared in ancient Nubia before they appeared in Kemet. Yeah. Macy's asking, is Ta-Neter the land of the gods? Yes, God's land. Ta, land, Neter. Yeah, the land of the gods. Yeah. And thank you very much, One Voice Africa. Thank you very much, you guys. I really appreciate your love and support, and it really helps. It really helps. It really does, because we got some stuff. I did some reading. I did some reading. Yes, I teach school, but I had to read something. I got to bring something to the fam. I had to do it. And so, I got something for you. So, yes, Ta-Neter is God's land. And so, all these items, all these symbols came before Kemet. And so, that means something, okay? That means something. It means that the river didn't just flow north with water. It flowed north with culture. It flowed north with spirituality, with political ideas. Nubia was the source and the sanctuary for Kemet. I got time, right? And so this is the reason why. I know you guys have already guessed it. You guys are very intelligent. The fam is smart. That's the reason why a lot of so-called scientists and archaeologists are trying to either erase Nubia's legacy or try to just cut them off altogether or flood them out. Shout out to the family of Swan. So there's a reason that they're trying to prevent this kind of civilization from coming out. Because why? Kemet was duly established before Nubia and Kush was duly established before Kemet as an empire, as a high culture. And so the Nile River flowed from south to north, like I said, with spirituality, with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So Nubia is the mother of Kemet. And as we said before, Kemetic culture is an African culture. Yeah, it is. It is. So now get this. We're gonna get it. Yeah, see, I told you I had it. Hold on. Now get now get this. The sacred processions led by Nubian priests, right? With the burning incense, carrying the falcon standard, anointed their king as the son of the divine, the son of the ancestor, the son of the Neteru. This is the blueprint of Kemet. This is the blueprint that Egypt inherits. Okay. Yeah, we know there's a reason why they want to erase this, right? But the Scorpion King doesn't come out of nowhere. He didn't just pop up and say, I'm the king, right? He didn't just say, hey, I'm him. He could, but he had to show and prove. Why? Because let me get back to this. There was 40 other, at that part, the southern part, I would say about 20 other gnomes, with each one had a king. So he had to either rule by force or finesse. Yeah. And the Scorpion King, he just didn't come out of nowhere. He came into the world of divine kingship that was already established, where the crowns and the Neteru and rituals, the ancestors, was already a part of life. Yeah. And before, and so here's the crystal incense. Here it is. Yeah. Tasseti is undeniably African, and that's why they downplay. That is correct. And that's another reason why our podcast, the podcast we put together, because all you guys add value to the conversation. That's the reason why we started to turn our eyes towards the south, towards Kush and Ethiopia, because we know for a fact that it's undeniably African, and we know for a fact that they started and founded Kemet. And I'm gonna say this: I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I got plenty of time. The reason why a lot of the dynasties was able to be kick-started was because of a Nubian leader or a person of Nubian origin. We're not just talking about the 25th dynasty of Taharqa and Payi and many others. We're talking about Ramses. His wife was Nubian. Queen Tai, She has Nubian background. Yes, they lived in Kemet for sure, but most of the major kings and rulers came from the south, or their wives did. So, shall we continue? Right. So the crystal incense burner. Here it is. Now we have this. This was found haphazardly. This was found, I think in the 1950s or the 60s, but this where you see where you see the the seated ruler. Now, here's the thing: we don't know who he is. We don't know his name, right? But what we do know is he had that flail in his hand, and what we also know is what's on his head. That is the white crown or the hajet, right? And the falcon right next to him. The falcon next to him, that is Haru. You know that is. And of course, we have the rosette or a star. Some people believe it's a star. And it's a feline. Now, do you think? Let me know. Like and comment below. Let me know. Is this feline a regular cat, or is that Basset or Sekhmet? Let me know. Okay. And then we have the antelope here, and then we have somebody going. They're taking his prisoners, but there's 3 sacred boats. Now, I'm thinking, this is not even in my notes. I think these are 3 sacred phases of the new era. Because there is a Nakada 1, 2, and 3 before they got up north, right? Before they got up north. And so this was, to me, show and prove that Kemetic culture came from the south. All these, now get it. Just think it's segment. Yeah. Okay. Y'all let me know. Is that feline? Is that cat Sekhmet or Basset? All right, let me know. Like and comment. Let me know. Yeah. Narmer did. I do agree. Macy. Narmer started the dynastic Kemet, yes, as an empire. But get this, I learned that there was other kings before him. So he came in with some information. Yeah. I agree. He did start it, but he came in with that, right? Now, so far, if you like the content, if you want to know about Ethiopia, Kemet, and Kush, like and subscribe. All right. Now, but check this out. Here's another picture. This is gonna be full of pictures. Now we have the Scorpion King here. Okay. With this details from the Scorpion Mace head and the Narmer Palette. Okay, they're putting 2 together, and we're gonna get. And I found out about the Scorpion Mace head. We're gonna get into that in a few minutes, but you see him with the priest. They're burning incense. They have the standard, so this shows that he is the divine king here. He is the one that's going to lead them, right? But get this, he's also, even though he's king, he's also being led. Why? Because there's a priesthood here, and each standard represents a nome or a village or neighborhood, and they came fully equipped with the ancestors. Yeah. So the foundations of Egyptian kingship. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean when we say Nubia is the foundation of Egyptian kingship? What does it mean that the Scorpion King wore the right crown and used Nubian hieroglyphs or glyphs? Okay, he used Nubian meta nature. And who was these people that ruled before Narmer? Basically, it means this. It means an entire system was already intact before Kemet, and it was rooted in the south. The Nile's first kingdom rose from Nubia. Their kings buried it with royal regalia, their incense burners carved with falcons, and they had crowns. So, and that, get this. Now, let me see. I got the book. Let me, since folks think I'm lying, folks like to argue, and they say, all your information is false. Yeah, I have a few. You should check out some of the comments in some of these videos. These folks are telling me that this information is false. All right. Now, this is Egypt Before the Pharaohs by Michael A. Hoffman, right? Now, this is on page 257. This is Nubia, Egypt, and the origins of Egyptian kingship. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. And so it says in some he goes, the author Hoffman says is, but as we move closer and closer to the emergence of complex society or civilization in Egypt around 3100 BC or before Common Era, it is hard to avoid the more intangible features of the culture which historians tell us help make Egypt. Yeah, tell us help make Egypt unique among the states in the ancient world. Perhaps the single most distinctive trait of ancient Egyptian civilization was the concept of divine kingship. It was the ideological glue that held the early state together. And as we shall see later, there is considerable evidence that it developed out of prehistoric antecedent. There can be little question of the importance of divine kingship to the process by which Egypt passed from prehistory to history. Nevertheless, there are a number of important disputes about the origin of divine kingship, as well as its possible institution descendants among the tribal states of sub-Saharan Africa. He goes on to say this, one of the most persuasive arguments about the origins of Egyptian kingship was raised some years ago by the noted Egyptologist and Orientalist Henry Frankfurt, who proposed in his classic book, Kingship and the Gods, that many elements, the white people, they're saying this, many elements of ancient Egyptian culture could be traced to an African substratum. Egyptian culture could be traced to an African substratum. Particularly enticing has been the long noted association of many Egyptian customs and ceremonial regalia with the institution of sub-Saharan African kingship. So these people are saying, this is another picture. These people are saying that Kemetic culture did come from the South. And this is not John Henry Clark. This is not Francis Welsing. This is not Amos Wilson. These are Wazungu saying this. And by the way, you see these pictures here? Yeah. That's the top. The top half is West African. The bottom half is Nubian. Yeah. It says the top, the Ogage of Ikri, or it's Yoruba. Okay, and the British has that. Sure do. But shall we continue? Let's get it. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah, SMA. Yeah, they do have the nerve. They do, because they would straight up argue us down talking about that Kemetic culture didn't come from the South. And they're authors. This is who published this? Let me see who published this book here. University of Texas Press in Austin. UT Austin published this. Yeah, I had a little coffee, so yeah, this is what that is. But yeah, that's the reason why so many of us stand 10 toes down and say, no, you can't tell us that Kemetic culture did not come from the South. You can't say that to us, right? And so let's get it. So Nubian foundations of Egyptian kingship, according to the book, yes. Okay. So it means the entire system of Egyptian kingship was rooted in the South. And we have to remember that, let me get back to that picture, that trade, okay, we got to remember that trade came from the South and went north. What did they trade? What did they get? They got gold, they got incense, exotic animals. And we have to remember about the story of Hatshepsut when she went to Ta-Neter and she got all those wonderful goods and services. So this has been going on for centuries. Nubia, the mother of Egypt, had Egypt's wealth, and it was Egypt's stability. Okay, so when the Scorpion King steps into history, he is more than, in a sense, he was more than like an isolated ruler. He came fully equipped with culture. He was in other words, he was the bridge between the Nubians into the Nile Valley northward. He came with culture. He came with power. Okay. And so he came up the Nile Valley, and there's a story behind that as far as Aset going north. We'll get to that in a second. Preparing the ground for Narmer. The Scorpion King and Narmer are two different individuals. Okay, so the Scorpion King prepares the way for Narmer, who will later unite Upper and Lower Egypt. So the question is, who is so this is what I learned. This is what I learned, that the Scorpion King is separate from Narmer. Yeah, the Scorpion King is separate from Narmer. Okay, two different people. So this is the moment where myth and memory and sacred knowledge connect. The Scorpion King is not just a name. It is not just a doggone movie in Hollywood. He's a real person. He's a sign and symbol of substance that Egypt needed to plant into the heart of Kemet. And get this, remember this though. Remember this, the kings, the Abydos kings list mentioned scorpions, and it also mentioned the Shimshu Haru, the kings that came before the First Dynasty. Yeah. The question is he the Anu? Now, is he part of that group? I'm not for sure, but what we do know is that the Anu was another family out there in Nubia also. So yeah, that is a good question. Shout out to Crenshaw Grinder. Shout out to the fam. Is he Anu? Now the Anu people did get down. We did have a discussion about the Anu people, but I do not see any information as far as him being directly connected and affiliated with the Anu, but I'm certain that the Anu people were there. You see what I'm saying? Because, man, this, once again, it's so many different groups, so many different gnomes, and then here comes this king that rises above them to unite all of them. That takes power. Yeah. So who was he? Who was this Scorpion King, right? Who was this man of power? Or who were they? Now, scholars, here's the thing. Scholars talk about two figures. Scorpion 1 and 2. These were pre-dynastic rulers, their names preserved, not in neat, in wonderful stone temples, but in fragments like this. In pottery, on mace heads and carvings. This is the most famous artifact, right? Because it shows up in bits and pieces, right? This is called the Scorpion mace head. It was discovered at Hyrcanopolis, or Nekhen, Nekhen, Nekhen. All right, this was discovered in Nekhen. Okay, so yes. Wait a minute. Was there two scorpions? We're gonna get into that in a second. And so get this. We'll discuss it later. So get this. On this carved stone, this mace head, we see a king wearing a tall white crown of Upper Egypt, right? He's wearing the hajat. He's holding, all right, he's holding a hoe. Okay, but now we ain't talking about that hoe, but he's holding the hoe. You see him? All right, y'all play too much. But yeah, but he's holding the hoe, but not the hoe. But anyway, but y'all childish. But he's symbolically, he's showing he's breaking ground. Okay, and he has this instrument for irrigation, symbolically bringing life to the land. Okay, he's bringing hope to the land. He's bringing life to a barren place. Now, notice, look closely. Above him, if you kind of squint a little bit, gotta use your glasses. Above him, there is a scorpion right there. The scorpion symbol, right? This is not just random. See what I'm saying? This king is tied to fertility, to the flow of the Nile. And the thing is, he had to be that person. The king had to be the life bringer and the warrior. He had to be the ruler and destroyer, the peacemaker and destroyer. The things you have, sometimes you got to be both. Okay, you got to be both, right? You gotta bring life and peace, as well as let some folk know what time it is every now and then. And so, right, so you see right next to him is the scorpion itself. This is not random. This is not just happenstance. This is African cosmology. This is African knowledge right here. The scorpion, get this is what I learned. I learned that the scorpion is both the protector and danger at the same time. It can also, get this, the scorpion can also defend as well as attack. Yeah. So in this case, it defends this new world, this new Kemet. So in Kemet, we have this ideology, this concept in full display. It connects, matter of fact, get this, it connects the ancient world, the ancient Nubians, to the goddess Serqet, Serqet, Serqet. Remember, the T at the end shows that it is feminine, right? Serqet, the guardian of life and death, she who protects the Pharaoh in the afterlife, right? She protects him in life and in death. So we have that image of Serqet right next to the king. So here we have a king marked by a scorpion. Okay, he shows that he's the ruler, the irrigator, protector, and this is a Nubian symbol. Kemet is not established yet. Okay, this is a Nubian symbol showing his Nubian power. Now, here's the thing. We have a problem. Was he fully Nubian, ruling from Taseti? Okay, like the fam asked, was he from Anu? Or was he a ruler of Upper Egypt who inherited the Nubian symbols? Right? Check it out. Look at his face. Right? This man, he got the beard, he got the little beard, and he ain't got no his nose ain't slim, right? Yeah. So was he Nubian himself, or did he inherit this information? Either way, the connection is there. Okay, the connection is undeniable. We have right here, we have the crowns, we have the falcon, we have the rituals, all carry that southern Nubian and Ethiopian stamp. All of it is connected, right? Now, look at it. Remember, he wears the white crown of Upper Egypt, which is Nubia. Okay, the crown, the headget, it traced back to Nubia. Its earliest depictions come from Taseti. So even in this artifact, in these artifacts right here, all right, even in these artifacts, the Scorpion King is carrying Nubian heritage on his head and in his heart. This is, and I'm gonna tell you this is one of my favorite. this here is one of my favorite. I'm not gonna lie to you. we have everything right here. And this, fam, this is not the 20th dynasty. This is not the 18th dynasty. This is not even during the age of Queen Sobekneferu. This is thousands of years before that. What do we have? What do you see? All right. We're going to go further into this a little bit later, but yeah, we got Heteru there. And we also have Heru there before Egypt was an empire, right? So we have the facial features, so we know the Nubian was a black man. I'm just going to put it out there. The dude was a black man. All right, but let's continue. So we have Nubia before Kemet, who was a Scorpion King. Okay, Nubia's foundation. I'm sorry, let me get this. Nubian foundation of Egyptian kingship, which we read. Scorpion Kings and Southern origins. We're about to get into that. Then we got story time. The 7 scorpions of our set. I just learned about this. See, we heard about the 7 Heteru. I just found out about the 7 scorpions of Isis. Man, see what happens when y'all Ask questions. We start learning, right? Historical symbolism of the scorpion and then the Narmer Palette, right? So scorpion kings and southern origins. I say kings as in plural, right? Let me see. It says you should check out the king's monologue and see his reconstructions. I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to do that. So before we get to Narmer, the unifier of Kemet, we had to meet the Scorpion King or Scorpion Kings. Okay, and yes, there are two. Okay, Scorpion 1 and Scorpion 2, pre-dynastic rulers, figures who existed before Egypt's first dynasty, before the hieroglyphs was fully captured in stone. But the symbols survived, and it was carved into stone and pottery and mace heads. So here it is. So who were they? Was there two Scorpion Kings? Yeah. The term, but get this, the term Scorpion King actually refers to two separate rulers who lived during the Kata 3, the late pre-dynastic period around 3200 to 3000 before Common Era, before the rise of the First Dynasty. They are known primarily from archaeological evidence, such as the scorpion mace head and the inscriptions found at Nekhen or Hyrcanopolis and other sites. So we'll break down the scorpion mace head a little bit later. So Scorpion 1, he lived in earlier Nakata. Known mainly from limited inscriptions and iconography, particularly in Hyrcanopolis or Nekhen. And here's the thing, he may have been likely a regional ruler, like a local cat, the regional ruler of Upper Egypt with some military and ritualistic power. So he didn't have complete control over Nubia. He did not at the time, but he was the originator, right? So his historical footprint is more ambiguous. So we don't know much, to be honest with you. We don't know much about his reign. We don't know much about it. But get this though, we do know about Scorpion 2. He's more famous. He's likely reigned closer to 3100 before Common Era. He's associated with the scorpion mace head discovered at Nekhen. Okay, depicting him wearing the white crown, the Hadjet of Upper Egypt, symbolizing rulership over Upper Egypt. When you have that crown on, everybody can't put that on. It means something. This man, when he put that on, he had complete power of Upper Egypt, of Nubia. And not only that, man, I can't wait to break this down. Not only that, there are some other symbols that indicate that this man did have total control of Nubia at the time. Okay. Now, he is depicted performing ritual acts like irrigation or ceremonial purification, suggesting that he had both political and spiritual authority. Now, look at this. Above him are the banners of different tribes or groups, right? Now, we talking about the top line. Above him, there's different groups and different nomes and areas, right? So most knowledge about the Scorpion Kings come from these artifacts and tombs, right? We'll get to the tomb of El Ka'ab a little bit later, but now the mace head. Now, let me see if I have a. Let me have a. I don't have one by itself, but check this out. This shows a king with the scorpion glyphs on his name, wearing the white crown. It depicts his ceremonial activity, possibly marking military victory or an irrigation ritual. Now, the tomb of Ujumbe at Abydos. This is the tomb of the Scorpion Kings. Okay, what is Tomb Uj or El Ka'ab? What is this place? This is a pre-dynastic tomb of the ancestors in Abydos, Egypt, dated around 3320 to 3150 before Common Era. Now, here's the thing. Fun fact: for those who like video games, for those who enjoy video games, now, King Cam does, and I do enjoy some video games, especially Assassin's Creed, especially Assassin's Creed Origin. That is my game. I play that two times every year, right? But now, if you know, you know. But if you know the story, you know about the map. And at the very bottom of the map, there is a place in that map that reminds me of Abydos. Now, if you are familiar with that place, if you're familiar with that story, like and comment that actual that location in the chat. Like or if you're on the replay, like and comment that, because I'm telling you, that game is fun and it has a lot of good information in there, right? So check it out. All right, now here's some other tomb writings. This is some of the tomb writings, but in El Kaab. So this was a very large tomb with evidence of administration, including inscribed tags and proto writing. No, they did not have the meta-nature perfected. However, this suggests when you see these scorpions here at Abydos, it shows that the king controls significant resources in that area. The scorpion glyph, the scorpion symbol, is used as a royal symbol and more rather than just a name. See, this is before Haru was used, because Haru was used in the Shin and some of the symbolism in there. So, but this is before that. So, but now, what did it mean? It may have conveyed danger, it may have conveyed some power or protection, but it echoes the symbolism of scorpions in later Egyptian and Kemetic culture. Okay, so these symbols here was all over the tomb at Abydos, so in El Kaab. See, it represented that the scorpion king, who either he lived there or it was his dominion. Okay, what do you think? What do you think? Now, like I said, if you enjoying this, like and subscribe, right? But now, why two? Okay, why two? Why two kings? Egyptologists distinguish them because there's evidence that shows that there was two kings during two different periods based on information, based on facts and the time frame, right? Now, Scorpion 1 was a local ruler, less documented. Then we have Scorpion 2, more powerful, more influential over Upper Egypt and potentially in conflict, get this, with its border, with its neighbor, Egypt itself. Scorpion 2, may have been the one to trigger the war. He may be the one that had aspirations of expanding northward. So it's believed that Scorpion 2 may have set the stage for King Narmer, the king credited with the official unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. Now, some scholars think that suggests there's a line of connection, or a line of continuity. We have Scorpion 2, we have Scorpion 1, then Scorpion 2, Scorpion 2 to Narmer, and then from Narmer to the First Dynasty kings. So Narmer, as we, Narmer was not the Scorpion king, okay? He just aligned himself with the ancestors who did. But you get this, just like Hatshepsut, who at times aligned herself with Queen Sobek-Neferu, and Sobek-Neferu aligned herself with Sobek. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, the Narmer brought in that culture. He brought in that information. And so that's the reason why they wanted to erase this information so much. That's the reason why they wanted to say that Nubia had nothing to do with Kemet, right? And the tomb, get this, in the book says the tomb of Narmer and other presumed proto-dynastic kings was at Abydos. And then he also mentions about divine kingship of Nubia. You would not be buried in a sacred place like Abydos, and the people of Kemet would not connect themselves to Abydos if there was no connection at all. See what I'm saying? Kemet were not, if they were separate cultures, if they were separate groups and they was beefing like that, Kemet would not bury their ancient ancestors next to the most ancient ancestors of Nubia and Abydos. Not to mention the fact that there's a tomb of Osiris at Abydos. Not only that, according to the king's list, there was a king named Osiris. Yep. But we'll talk about that later. So, significance in Egyptian history. Now, why this significance? Why is that important? Why is that important? Because of the religious role, political centralization, proto-writing administration, and cultural symbolism. All right, 4 reasons: religious role, political role, proto-writing and administration, and cultural symbolism. Right. For those who are writing in the back, religious role. Both kings were depicted performing ceremonial acts, emphasizing the divine role of the kings as mediator between the gods, ancestors, the land, and the people. Right. Political. It says political centralization. They represent the emergence of a centralized rule. Okay, controlling labor, controlling trade. Because when you control labor and trade, yeah, you control money, right? And you have the military power. Then you had the proto writing, which was the symbols there. Okay, proto writing and administration. Tombs and artifacts show early administrative systems, hinting at the bureaucracy of the later dynasties. Okay, the scorpion style or motif persisted in Egyptian symbolism, in Kemetic symbolism, later linked to the goddess Serqet, protector against venomous creatures and guardian in the afterlife. This is why it's important that we continue to talk about Nubia. Okay, this is why it's important that Nubia has some kind of connection to Kemet. Why? Because of the religious role, because of political and proto writing and culture. All these are connected. There's some people in Egypt right now that like to deny that, but the fact still remains: Nubia is critical and vital to Kemet. So there are likely we know for sure there's 2 distinct Scorpion kings separated in time, connected culturally and politically. Scorpion 2, better known as the precursor, the originator of the dynastic rulers of Egypt. Their reigns illustrate the transition from regional chiefs and rulers to a centralized state into an empire in pre-dynastic Egypt. And archaeological evidence like the scorpion mace head, the tomb at Abydos, and early inscriptions are crucial to understanding their power and influence. Now, back to this. Back to the mace head. All right. Think about this. Nekbet. I'm sorry, not Nekbet. Nekhem, the first cataract of the Nile. Excavators find the incense burners, ceremonial crowns, images of falcons and kings in procession, and is not located in the Giza plateau. These artifacts predate Kemet's dynasties. So, and they carry the emblem of rulership, the white crown of falcon Neteru, the falcon god Horus, ceremonial items for irrigation, all southern in origin and all in Nubian. So here's the thing: the Nile doesn't just carry water; it carries culture. It carries spiritual frameworks, political ideas, and the very idea of divine kinship into Kemet. Kemet did not have this. Kemet didn't have it. Now, if they did have some kind of order, they did not have rulers like the Nubian rulers. Okay, Kemet was not a nation, so therefore they didn't have this. The Nubian kings brought that with them. And what about the Scorpion King? He embodies this transition. He's not just a person, he is the symbol, the bridge between 2 worlds, setting the stage for unification. Now, look at this. The kings, he stands tall, wearing the white crown, and the scorpion glyph above him, above his name, that is the mark, right? That is the mark. That is, I'm sorry. Okay. That shows the mark of his name, and the scorpion is tied to him. and nobody else. You see, the scorpion is not nowhere else. It's right above the head of the king. Okay. It's above him. The scorpion isn't random. It's African cosmology. It's a protector and a threat. It's death and life. In Kemet, it becomes the goddess Serqet. It becomes Serqet. Now, here's the thing. Did you know that Narmer had his own Hebset festival? Yeah. Yeah. See, did you guys know that? Now we knew, when we discussed Queen Sebek Neferu and the Hebset festival, and Ramsey had his Hebset festival, we did not know that there was a pre-dynastic Hebset festival. Yeah. So when this king is marked by a scorpion, he is claiming divine protection. He's aligning with Ma'at. He's saying, I am the life-giver and protecting ruler of this place. And so they have meaning. They have the origins in the South, right? So get this. Now, the Hebset festival. Now, this is a theory held by earlier scholars, including Petrie and Walter Emery, is that the mace head commemorates great occasions like Narmer's Hebset festival. Yeah, or the marriage to a possible queen, Nethotep. See, we talked about it before, but this was a pre-dynastic thing. Even the Hebset festival or the ritual rites of making a king was part of the process. Was Nubian. Yeah. Crenshaw Grinder says, yeah, he is a transitional figure, paving for unification of the Nile Valley. That's correct. Yeah, that is correct. So there's a Hebset festival here, and now here it is. We have the Narmer, the unifier of two lands. Okay, look at it. He's on the throne right there. Okay, he has the red crown, the Deseret. Okay, and he's covered with like a long cloak or a robe. The king, he's holding a flail, and above him is a canopy. That's a vulture. Who's that vulture? That is what? Nekbet. Okay, that's Nekbet. Hovers with spread rings of protection. Nekhem or Hyrcanopolis was one of the four power centers of Nubia that preceded the consolidation of Upper Egypt. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna go even further than that. Nekhem was the seat of power before Thebes or before Waset. I'm going to say that. Nekhem was the seat of power before Waset. Yeah. And so notice this. There's some religious importance on here also, right? And so directly in front of the king is some kind of shrine, right? And then there's a group of people there, and this individual is a cloaked figure. Now, it may represent a princess that's about to be married to him, or the king's child, or a Neteru. But look above that this dice, or this look like a little chariot or cart. Who is that? Looks like Heteru. Okay, because get this. Now, you see the cow right here. It's in the box. Okay, Het in the box. But these other cows are not in a box. All right. So this gives me reason to believe that this is Hathor Heteru. And also we have now we're gonna get back to them in a second, but these other people are behind this shrine here. Look like they're bringing gifts, right? And these in the cows below them may symbolize offerings and all this, but it also there's people that's fanning him, and there's food, there's groceries, and we got somebody that got right. So all this is happening. This is a military victory. This is a processional, right? And above all of them are, of course, the flag bearers. They might symbolize the the Nome and the sacred locations in Nubia. But now some scholars would think this is not Heteru. This may be a Nome in Nubia called Theb Ka. Shout out to Baba Yahya Shabaka when he talked about the Baba Ka a few weeks ago. But I don't think it's a Nome. I think it's Hathor and her son. In some traditions, her son is Haru. Okay, some people may say that. All right, but these deities or Hathor, and because we know that Isis Aset had Haru, but Haru was nursed and kept by Hathor, right? But either way, these these deities are associated with kingship and rulership. Okay, so behind it, of course, the standard bearers, right? And of course, you got the flag people. Why? Because it's hot. You got people, fanning them. It's hot. You know what I'm saying? So they got to do that. So now you got the scorpion kings and southern origins. Now let's get into this. The seven scorpions of Isis. Now, get this. We gotta get into story time. We gotta get into story time because the scorpion isn't just a political thing. It isn't just a symbol. It is more of a spiritual thing. It is a cosmic thing. It is a Nubian concept. Okay, because in the myth of Aset or Isis, after Osiris was unalived or killed, she goes into the marshes to protect her infant son Haru. Alongside her were 7 scorpions, tiny but lethal, vigilant, unwavering. They guard the child against enemies, venom ready but controlled by divine will. So now, fam, this is the first time I ever heard this story, and so I figured that I got to share it, right? I got to do it. It's story time. Now, the 7 scorpions of Isis. Now, according to the story, Aset or Isis is telling the story. Isis is telling the story. She says this. I am Isis, the great goddess, the mistress of magic, the speaker of spells. I came out. Oh, I got a question. Hold on. I got a question really quick. I forgot about the question. I got so excited. Got a question. Would you rather join? I forgot about that. Would you rather join or be a part of the Council of Elders or Secret Society of Mystics? Okay. Before we get to the story, I forgot about that. I got so excited about the information. Would you be a part of Council of Elders or a Secret Society of Mystics? Like and comment below. Let me know. Okay. Now, let's continue. The 7 scorpions of Aset, right? In the story, she says, I came out of my house, which my brother Set had given to me for Tahuti or Thoth called to me to come. So she says, I came out of my house, which my brother Set or Chaos have given to me, for Tahuti called me to come. Thoth, the twice great, mighty of truth in earth and in heaven, he called, and I came forth when Ra descended in a glory to the western horizon of heaven, and it was evening. Aset says this, and with me came the 7 scorpions, and their names were Tephen and Bethan, Mestet and Mestetef, Patet, Datet, and Matet. Behind me, as she walked, behind me were Tephen and Bethan. On either side, she says, were Mestet and Mestetef. In front were Patet, Datet, and Matet. Now, remember, you hear that T at the end. I think all of these scorpions were feminine or were feminine attributes. What do you think? Let me know. Let me see. I think the family's talking. Let me see. All right, it says, May said, want to be a part of Society of Mystics. Yeah, I think so too. Me too. Yeah. Let me know. Which one would you rather be a part of Council of Elders or the Society of Mystics? All right. Now let's get back to it. All right. So she's walking. Okay. And in front of her were Patet, Tetet, and Metet, clearing the way that none could oppose or hinder me, she says. I called aloud to the scorpions, and my words rang through the air and entered into their ears. Beware of the black one. Call not the red one. Look neither at children nor at any small helpless creature. What did she say? She said, beware the black one, call not the red one, look neither at children nor at any small, helpless creature. She's giving him instruction. She's instructing him to protect the children and the helpless. Then, the story continues. It says, then I wandered through the land of Egypt. I wandered through the land of Kemet, Tefton, Bethan behind me, Mestet and Mesetep on the other side, Petet, Thetet, and Matet before me. And we came to Persui, 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 where the crocodile is God, and to the town of the two sandals, which is the city of the twin goddesses. Here it is at the swamps and marshes of the north country. Here it is that the swamps and marshes of the north country began. So it sounds to me that she went from the south to the north. Where the fields and papyrus reeds and where the marshmen dwell. And from here to the great green waters is the northland. So she went north. Yeah, she went north to the Nile Delta. Then she says, we came near houses where the marsh people dwelt. And the name of one of the women was called Glory. A woman named Glory. Though she called, so some people call her Strength. So she stood at her door from afar off, and she saw me coming. And when she saw me coming, wayworn and weary, and I would fain have sat me down at her house. But when I would have spoken to her, Glory shut the door in my face, for she feared the 7 scorpions that were with me. Glory shut the door. I went farther, and one of the marsh women, the poor women, opened the door to me. And in her house I rested. But Mastet and Masetep, Petet and Thatet and Matet and Bethan also, they came together and laid their poison upon the sting of Tephan. Thus the sting of Tephan had 7-fold power. It was potent and deadly. Then Tephan returned to the house of the woman called Glory. She, the one who had closed her door against me. The door was still shut, but between it and the threshold was a narrow space. Through this narrow space crept Tefton and entered the house, and stung with the sting of 7-fold power, Tefton stung the son of Glory. It was so fierce and burning was the poison that the child died, and fire broke out in the house. Then the woman called Glory cried and lamented, but no man hearkened to her. No man heard her. And heaven itself sent water upon the house. The great marvel was that this water was from heaven, for the time of the inundation or the flooding season was not yet. Thus she mourned and lamented, and her heart was full of sorrow when she remembered how she shut the door in my face when weary and wayworn. I would have rested in her house, and the sound of her grief came to my ears, and my heart swelled with sorrow for her sorrow. And she said, my heart swelled with sorrow for her sorrow. Isis was sad because Glory was sad. And I turned back and went with her to where her dead child lay. And she says, and I, Isis, the mistress of magic, whose voice can wake the dead, I called aloud the words of power, the words that even the dead can hear. And I laid my arms upon the child that I might bring back life to the lifeless. Cold and still he lay, for the 7-fold poison of Tefton was in him. Then did I speak magical spells to the poison of the scorpion. So get this. She tried to speak to him. It didn't work. She tried to speak life to him, but it didn't work. Now she's speaking to the poison. She says, then I speak the magical spells to the poison of the scorpion, saying, O poison of Tefton, come out of him and fall upon the ground. O poison of Bethan, advance not, penetrate no further, come out of him and fall upon the ground. For I am Isis, the great enchantress, the speaker of spells. Fall down, O poison of Mestet. Hasten not, poison of Mestetef. Rise not, poison of Petet and Thettet. Approach not, poison of Metet. Remember, these were 7 different poisons. This was 7 different poisons in this boy's body. And she spoke to all of them. She had power over all of them. She says, for I am Isis, the great enchantress, speaker of spells. The child shall live, the poison shall die. As Horus, she says, she goes on to say this, as Horus is strong and well for me, his mother, so shall this child be strong and well for his mother Glory. That's compassion. Then the child recovered, and the fire was quenched, and the rain from heaven ceased. And the woman called Glory brought all her wealth, all her bracelets, and all her neck ornaments, and her gold work and the silver work to the house of the marsh woman. The Glory gave her glory to somebody else and laid them at my feet in token of repentance that she has shut the door upon me when weary and wayworn. I had come to her house. And to this day, men make dough of wheat, flour kneaded with salt, and lay it upon the wound made by the sting of a scorpion, and over it they recite the words of power which I recited over the child of the woman called Glory. When the 7-fold poison was in him, and I gave him life. For I set the great enchantress, the mistress of magic, the speaker of spells. See, listen, this, the scorpion in ancient Kemet was protection through power and wisdom. The scorpion, he was dangerous for sure, but it served as a divine plan. The 7 scorpions, not 3, not 5, it was 7. That's a sacred number in African cosmology and universal cosmology. It represents cosmic order, completeness, and guardianship. And think about this. The Scorpion King, centuries later, adopt the scorpion as his symbol, as his emblem. The symbolism is clear. He is the living protector of the lands. He carries this culture, the divine will of the ancestors, with him. He embodies the same principle of Aset. The scorpions carry protection, it was guidance, life-giving power, and alignment with Ma'at. So the 7 scorpions aren't just a myth at that time. It was their blueprint. It was the idea for kingship, for divine rulership, and it understood the link between leadership, destiny, and also compassion. Because as a leader, yeah, you may be right, but you still have to be compassionate. That is African culture. Yeah. So, so get this. Now we have Serqet in ancient Kemet. Serqet, she, according to the pyramid text, she is the eternal extension of this idea of these 7 scorpions, right? On the left side, we have Serqet protecting King Tut's tomb there. Okay. In the pyramid text, we read, it says, Serqet, the one upon her head is a scorpion. She who lets live whom she wishes. She who slays whom she wishes. She opens the way for the king. She drives out the poison for him. And get this, in the coffin text, okay, it guards against evil and venom, right? Oh, Serqet, mistress of the beautiful house, protect me from what comes forth from your mouth. Guard me from your bite so that I may live, so that I may rise again with the sun. That's the coffin text. So this is not just like superstition. This is African culture. Okay. They respected nature. They knew what these meant and what they was about. This was a symbol, a principle. The Scorpion Kings walk with these forces, embodying the protection, authority, and divine continuity. See, I think this was this was protection. Okay, this was renewal. The Scorpion King showed that power through that symbol. Okay, he is aligning himself with the divine order of life, death, and rebirth, and the ancestors. And get this, Aset and her 7 scorpions also protected the child Haru. This idea goes back to the earliest kings. The scorpion is guardian of destiny, okay, guardian of the future. So when we think about the scorpion king, we're not just talking about policies. We're talking about African custom and cosmology, right? And so let's get this. The symbolism for let's unpack this. So the scorpion is death and life. It is desert and river. It's chaos, and it's also controlled. This thing can kill or heal. And it also represents leadership. It symbolizes vengeance, cosmic alignment, and sacred guardianship. So when the Scorpion King adopts his emblem, he's not just marking territory. He's claiming divine legitimacy. Okay, he's saying, "I am." He says, "I am the chosen one. I am the protector. I am the bridge from the south into Kemet." Now, let's get into this Narmer Palette. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into this Narmer Palette real quick. Let's get into that. All right. So the Narmer Palette established during the Naqada 3 era. The Naqada era developed the first hieroglyphics or the first symbols that led into the meta-nature. The Narmer or Menes Palette was made during this time. It marked the unification of Upper and Lower Kemet. The invention of sail navigation. Now, on the top section, okay, that's his name right in the middle. On both sides, you see the calf or bull representing Hetaru. On the right side, there is a boat right there, okay, and an open door. What do you think that boat and open door means? What do you think? Like and comment below. What do you think that boat and open door means? And of course, under the boat, here's the defeated enemies, right? See, and then we have the priest wearing the leopard skin, and he's following the floor flags or standards representing Neteru or the ancestors. Now, then we have Narmer wearing the red crown of Lower Kemet. He's wearing a bull tail and a apron. Of course, bull representing his strength and power, right? And so it shows in his hand a war hammer, and behind him is a servant. That servant is holding his sandals, right? And so let me see if I can get a little bit better. There we go. Let me see the left side. On the left side, Narmer wears the right crown, okay, worn by the Scorpion King centuries earlier, okay. Now he holds a ceremonial war hammer or a mace, about to give somebody that work, right? And his sandals is carried by an attendant behind him, signaling or showing that where he was standing was sacred ground. Now, some people may say, okay, he's taking out an enemy, or he is subduing his passions. He's destroying the beast within himself. What do y'all think? Okay, is this symbolic of him destroying an external enemy or an internal enemy? Let me know. If you think it's external, type in external. If it's internal, type in internal. Okay. And now we have up there, we have above him, we have Haru. And Haru is standing on papyrus plants or in reeds, right? That represents the Nile Delta. Okay. And then on the other side, Narmer now wears the red crown. Okay. He's walking in procession, inspecting. He's looking at the enemies that was taken out. This is their head is missing, right? And then get this at the bottom. I was struggling trying to figure out what these two intertwined animals represented. And I found out that these entwined beasts symbolize the binding and connecting of the two lands. And at the very bottom is the mighty bull that's smashing the city walls and trampling the enemies. And every symbol on this palette carries Nubian roots, as we discussed earlier. Crowns and falcons, ritual gestures. Narmer did not invent this kingship; he inherited it. The Scorpion Kings paved the way for him. The Nubian models showed the Nubian models of rule, divine kingship, ritual, and protection, all covered here. Okay, but yeah, let me see what the fam is saying. Let me see. Yeah, external. You think? Yeah, I honestly think so too. I think this was an external enemy he had to go ahead and take out. I think so. Okay. So what do we get from this? The Scorpion King The seven scorpions, Serqet and Narmer. These weren't isolated pieces. They were a continuation of African power and knowledge, spiritual authority, and divine kingship. The South gives life to the North. Nubia creates this template. Aset scorpions teach us cosmic guardianship. Serqet protects her kings in life and death. And Narmer executes the political unification. He is the executioner, carrying the symbols and crowns and authority from south to north. All right? Now, this I found out something else. Oh man, I found something else out. I found something new. Look at this. This is the Nakata label. Yeah. I stumbled upon this, y'all. I did. And you know I had to share. I can't keep that to myself. The Nakata label of the early dynastic period. Yeah. Let me see if we can break this down a little bit. Okay, the Nakata label, the NAQADA label is a small rectangular tag. It was like a little tag that you put on your items or whatever. Like, when you go traveling, you tag your luggage, right? It was made of ivory or wood, recovered from Nakata, okay, associated with the burials of the royal burials at El Kaab and in the Nakata cemetery. So these labels are characteristic of early dynastic administrative system. These labels function as administrative year occasion tags attached. They was attached to jars, containers, but they carry pictorial narratives that commemorate events like rituals, events like marriages, military exploits, foundations, or even delivery of goods. See, modern scholarships though they question this, okay, but we can't deny what we see here. We have at the very top, we have Heru on top of this Serqet, Serkh. Okay, he's on top of a royal house. Okay, that conventionally identifies the king associated with this. So a king and ruler own this. Okay, and then next to it is an enclosure or shrine containing signs that can be verbally read. And in the lower areas are showing captives bound, okay, or maybe priest praying, right? And so this compact composite mixes the king's name with signs and symbols that tells a narrative, that tells a story. Now the Serqet, okay, with Heru on top, is the standard device for writing the fact that the king is there. This represents the king's Horus name or Heru name, even in pre-dynastic period. See, the Horus name, some of us like to believe that that's just relegated to Kemet. No, it was a Nubian thing. This came before that. So on the Nakata label, the Serqet associates the event with a specific king with the name Horus in it. Some scholars have thought that this was connected to Hor or Heru Aha or Narmers, or so they're not sure if it's a guy named Heru Aha or if it's Menes Narmer. Okay, so that's the discussion right now. So let me get a little bit more information for you. All right, now, but even though there's some debate, there's the presence of this symbol anchors the fact that it was royalty. It was royalty there. But now here's the issue. Here's some controversy. The issue with breaking this down is that the set of signs or symbols beside the shrine enclosure that some scholars read as including the chessboard right there. We see Heru there, but also we have another shrine, right? There's a chessboard which represents the sign or metanetra men, MN, or some sort of variant. Then you have the Nibatawi, the two ladies above it, Nekbet and Wajet, okay, all inside the shrine. This cluster had been used in some cases to identify the legendary Menes or the first king of unified Egypt. Some read the sequence as evidence in the name of Men or Menes. So they don't know if it's Menes or Narmer or Menes or Heru Aha. And the graphic arrangement on this label shows some kind of royal titulary or birth name, normally it doesn't face away from Haru right here. Most of the time, most of the royal names and titles are facing inward towards the king. But we got to remember, this is thousands of years before Egypt's golden ages, right? So many scholars will argue that this element is ambiguous, and so they can't really pinpoint who it belongs to. But we know it belongs to somebody royalty, right? So let me look at this. So let's look at it. We have Haru at the top, okay, at the rectangular palace, and then we have the royal names in there. Okay, they're not sure if it's Narmer or if it's somebody else. Okay, then we have the shrine here, and then also we have the human figures in a procession. These folk in the middle are working. They're handling business. But look at the bottom. Some people like to say they're prisoners. Some people like to say they're priests. But right in front of it looks like the Haru Emaket. Mm-hmm. Now we had a discussion about the age of the Haru Emaket. Now, I'll have reason to believe that these priests are at the Haru Emaket. You know, y'all let me know, what do you think they were in front of the Sphinx? Do you think they was in front of the Sphinx? And of course, we have the a lot of traditional Kemetic words and labels here, but like I said, the scholars could not really pinpoint who it belonged to, but what they can conclude, it did belong to a ruler in Nubia, right? So now this is really quick. This is Narmer's tomb, and it's located in B7 and B18 at El Ka'ab, okay? And this is the image of the great unifier Narmer. Now, here's the thing about that. The actual real figure is smaller than this, but you can't deny his facial features, right? You can't deny that this person was a black man, right? And so get this as we end today. So remember, the story of Kemet is inseparable from the story of Nubia. The first pharaoh, the unifier, the one who immortalized on the Narmer Palette, walks on the shoulders of ancient Nubian kings. The seven scorpions remind us that leadership, protection, and destiny were intertwined, and the Scorpion King embodies that force and power. Okay, and when we reclaim these histories, we reclaim our own narrative, our own story, and our own power. Okay, and get this, and our connection with the ancestors. So, so get this. We have a couple things lined up. We got a couple things going. Okay, we got a couple things. This is, of course, the Echoes of Nubia segment, and yeah, Brother Mo. Shout out to Brother Mo. He asked a question about the Nubians and King Tut. I'm gonna say this. Okay, get ready. Because come October, yeah, we're gonna talk about the guys, the people that taught Howard Carter and gave him that information, because he just didn't have just figured out where and who King Tut was. Okay, he didn't just so happen to stumble upon a rock and in this big old grave here, because the dude was actually not that credible. He was looking and digging everywhere, and he couldn't find nothing. Right. So that's coming up. And next up, Kush and Kemet. The Kemetic nation is coming back out. Yeah, we're gonna cook. Kush and Kemet unearthing the southern connection with Kemetic nation. Yeah, they're gonna be here, and I'm gonna let them go. All right. And they got some books, they got some information. So shout out to the Kemetic nation and all them. So, and the fam. Yeah, the next episode, our next book study, of course, we're going through Ethiopians in history. We're gonna get into that. We're going to get into chapter 7, the rise and fall of Gundar, Ethiopia's forgotten empire. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. And so for the members are the members are getting into that. They got this, they already got the video. They already got it. And so, but you guys asked for it. Shout out to Auntie Linda and Sister Macy and Isu. Y'all typed in 7, and people have decided Okay, this coming up, the 7 Hathor. We're going to get into detail with that. We're going to get into a little bit of more of a symbolism and everything with the 7 Heteru, right? Now, some books. The wonderful Ethiopians of the ancient Kushite Empire. But get this, and of course, the affiliate links in the description. But our next book, I know we're working on, we're almost done with the Ethiopians of history, right? But the next book that's coming up, the next one is an African history of Africa by Zainab Badawi. Yes, I'm already breaking it down. I'm already into it, right? It's from the dawn of humanity to independence. Get that, because come October, this is going to be the book, all right? Because she is very thorough. She gets in. She goes from the earliest parts of humanity to the Nile, to the kingdom of Kush and Zana of Axum. She goes to the Amazigh. She talks about Tibu Tip, the southern kingdoms, and even the Congo. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be great. All right, this is gonna be great. Now, get these books also. Check them out. The Kingdom of Kush, the Napoleon and Meroic Empires by Derek Wellesby, Egypt Before the Pharaohs. And this is what I learned. The Kingdom of Kush is a great book, right? But it starts with, say, 800 BC. See what I'm saying? It deals with the 20th dynasty on out. So it deals with, of course, literally the Kingdom of Kush. Egypt Before the Pharaohs deal with the pre-dynastic era, before the First Dynasty. That's what I learned. Even though both came from Nubia, but both deal with different time frames. You see what I'm saying? Now, of course, this is our book. The affiliate links are in the description. Check them out. Now, yeah, I know we got the Rise and Fall of Gundar, but I gotta discuss the Prince's Divided Kingdom, the Zemene Masafint, Ethiopia's Age of Princes. You guys will find out why I have to deal with that before we get into, say, chapter 8 of the book, right? Before we deal with our ruler. Let me see. Yeah, because what happens is in the Rise and Fall of Gundar in chapter 7, it goes right into the early 19th century and the advent of Trodoros, right? It goes into that. But there was a age of princes in between that in Ethiopia. Got to discuss it. You know, I got to talk about it. So, yeah. And guess what? You know, we got to check roll. Shout out to the Ujumbe members, the Ujumbe fam. They join the membership. Shout out to Sister Bina Scott, Brother Mo, and Brother Isu, One Voice Africa. Shout out to One Voice Africa. They're awesome. And he has his own he has his podcast coming up. Y'all need to check him out. All right. He's more the modern Pan-African concepts. I'm more the ancient side, but check out Brother Isu. He's awesome. All right. All right. Now, also join the membership because they get exclusive looks on videos, shorts, and everything before everybody else, right? But I gotta check roll. All right. Now, T Arca, shout out to T Arca, Sister Macy, Sister Linda, Baba Yakya Shabaka, Sister Danita Smith, Brother Volta, Jay Will, Miss Blue, the alumni, King Pharaoh 7683, Soul Zenith, and Libraries Without Borders. If you are present and I didn't call your name, comment here. Okay. And shout out to, of course, Crenshaw Grinder. Shout out to him. I really appreciate him coming. All right. Shout out. All right. But if you are here and I didn't call your name, all right, comment here. Now, if you like the content, subscribe and share with somebody that may enjoy it, or share it on your social media platform of choice. We just got to talk about the Scorpion King, Nubian origins of the first Pharaoh. Now, this is the King Cam Ujumbe podcast, Ujumbe Me's message. And do you guys have, before I turn you loose, are there any questions? Are there any questions? I really appreciate you guys coming for this bonus episode. You know, we don't really come out on a doggone Friday night, but I really thank you guys for coming through. I really appreciate it. Are there any other questions or concerns before we and shout out to the Ethiopian fam out there. They're celebrating their new year. Okay, why? Because Sirius is rising in the horizon. Okay, shout out to the Ethiopian fam. But yeah, are there any questions before I turn you loose? Thank you guys for coming to this bonus episode. And yeah, Kemetic Nation is coming Sunday, and we're gonna let them cook. But are there any questions? All right. And so check this out. If there are no questions, you just got to listen to the Scorpion King, Nubian origins of the first Egypt's first pharaoh. If you want to catch up with Kush and Nubia cultural continuity, I have a playlist. If you want to check out our the Thrones of Fire, Temples of Light, I got that for you. All right. But yeah, you listen to King Cam Ujumbe podcast. Ujumbe means message, and I will talk to you later. Have a good one.